And on that note, let's end this conversation and let's go roll into random encounters. This is where we.
the dice.
Yeah, no, the dice are already sitting on the table. So
You've been touching the dice again.
who left the die on a 1 like that?
Ooh, a 1.
The die has been here just roasting on a 1. That's bad mojo, man.
So if I roll a 1, I'm going to just
20s,
start spilling spoilers. That's what I'm going to do. 1 is going to be spoilers this time. If you see a 1, y'all better turn off the feed. Somebody's asked if that's going to be AVC. I don't think. Yeah, that is AVC.
Yeah,
the one in Longview, Texas.
Yeah, the one in Longview, Texas will be AVC. AVC conventions. They just won't putting those on. That wasn't Q's last diplomacy roll. Oh, no.
What is diplomacy? In a world of magic, diplomacy is just your way to buy time to charge your spell.
Hey, at least he stays consistent, man. He continues to fat finger.
Oh yeah, that's
he put a T on the end of was. So.
Oh, there you go. That wasp.
That was Q's last diplomacy roll, eh? I don't know.
Roll the die, man. That was terrible.
I
don't know what you were doing.
I was trying to go like Goblin, you know. All right. Sorry.
All right. Check.
Technical difficulty there. All right. So back to do what? Oh yeah. Welcome to Random Encounters. Let's get this thing on a roll. Let's pull up our
dice cam.
And our list. Well, no, we gotta pull up the list. I'm Xenodamus. That's
Do we do intros? Okay. Welcome to Random Encounters. I'm Q. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do intros because this is one long segment live on YouTube. Random Encounters is a separate segment, so I thought I'd introduce us again. But now you've made it awkward.
Yes, I did. Hey, don't make me bring up the squids again. I think we wouldn't.
So anyway, this is this week's Random Encounters list. There it is. You can read it. You can pause it if you really want to read it. But now
you on the podcast have no idea what just happened.
Yeah. Well, if you're on the podcast, there is a list. You just don't see it.
He put something up totally different. He's holding out on you.
Yeah. But luckily, we'll tell you when we roll what we rolled, so you don't have to worry about what's on the list. Here, you roll first this time. I rolled first last time. 14. 14 is tabletop supplemental count. This is, why is the speakers acting up again? Pop it off and on again. I may end up having to return my soundboard.
That is not. But anyway, roll to 14. We got tabletop supplemental count. This, especially, I know Blood Axe is going to start laughing when we get into this. But the rest of y'all are going to catch up here. Tabletop gaming like D&D and all that has one major flaw to it, or at least several of the versions of it have this, and that is the sheer quantity of books they put out. And it is not odd for especially the 3.5 and D20 based ones to get up to 10, 20, 30 supplemental books. Upside, you usually end up with a lot of options and material under your belt. Downside, though, exorbitant expense. I mean, how do you feel about games like, say, Pathfinder and back in the day, 3.0? You saw my collection. You remember how many books were out for that. I mean...
Well, I mean, my biggest problem with the supplemental count, like 3.5 had a huge supplemental count, and Pathfinder is ungodly. I'm hoping with this new Pathfinder 2.0 that they'll really cut back on how often they release these supplementals. But, I mean, I mean, we won't know until it happens. But, I mean, as far as Peso goes right now, I can't keep up with the amount of supplements they drop because I would go broke.
I'm crazy because I have been somehow managing to do it, but that's probably why, this is a blank T-shirt instead of an awesome-looking T-shirt for people who don't spend all their money on books. But, but here's the thing. Because I got to also, though, the other side is that every now and then, it comes down to trial and error. Every now and then, though, you'll get an amazing supplement because they keep going, you know what I'm saying? until they hit one of those goals. Like, for example, because I'm a huge Pathfinder fan, don't get me wrong, I love it. The Occult Realms book, me and Kitsune really liked that book. And it took a while for them to kind of get it right, but they eventually put out a book that hit a lot of notes. So the downside is definitely the expense. And for a DM, because I remember also one of your things that used to drive you crazy was when you tried to run it, is it's almost impossible to know everything that's out. So the DM can get blindsided. Personally, I think you can look up what, because of things like the SRD, I think it's pretty possible to go research what somebody's playing. But I do admit that it can be hectic because, you can have a party show up with no classes out of the main book. Like right now, I think we're running a party that we have one person playing like something out of the player's handbook and every other class is from a supplement. But it's also cool that somebody goes, I want to do this. And you're like, oh, that's here. Wow, they have it? Yeah, they have it. They have whatever you want to play. Personally, that's why I like point systems. To me, the flaw of class systems is they support supplements because, you got to get a whole new class. Point systems, you build your character, so you can avoid that because, you build it.
Yeah, I see Blood Axe mentioned Bessem there. So.
Oh, I didn't even look at that, but that's 100% a great example. You build your abilities, you buy them, so why would you need a supplement? Only maybe for the setting. But if you wanted to play, I don't know, the guy from Ronin Warriors, I want to have a tiger and flaming armor with dual swords, you'd build that. You wouldn't have to buy 30 books to go find the rules that let your fighter have a tiger and let you dual wield and have magic armor.
Yeah.
So I say that basically the solution that's a point system. We'll see what second edition Paizo is going to do, Pathfinder. I don't think they're going to a point system, though. So I think we're still going to see classes. But maybe the classes will be a little bit more like D&D, where they put the flexibility directly into the class, so you don't have to have as many classes. We'll see.
All right, let's see what's next on our agenda here. No, I'm not talking about supplementals again.
You didn't talk about them then.
I did some, just not a lot. 7. Sandbox games versus storyline games.
Ooh, good one.
Now, I mean, a big example of this is like Skyrim versus something like
just about any JRPG.
Fable.
Fable's
not really open world. I guess it is a little bit, but
now you'd want to go with like something like
depends on which
RPG.
Fable too. Like you got Fable 3. Fable 3 is a lot more linear than.
I mean, that's a screw up though. I don't think that was intentional. I would go with Final Fantasy 15 or another JRPG, which tends to be very strictly. These are the guys in here. This is the roles, and this is that one story. But they tell epic stories.
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway. The big thing is a sandbox versus storyline. I'm a big fan of sandbox personally because I sort of like my story to be all over the place. Like I like having like the way that back to Bethesda and Skyrim. I mean the way they did their sandbox with just putting all this extra information just spread out. To me, it's almost like reading a book. You get all this, or a series of books. Because you have the main story, but as you get a series, you got story over here, you got story over there, and that's really cool. And it all ties in together, so it is one big story. But all this extra stuff's not required, so it's not necessarily linear, but with storyline games, I mean they do definitely have their plus because you can get a more epic story from it.
I mean, all of our most famous and known characters and heroes are all storyline game characters. They come from a storyline.
Well, and I guess that is probably the biggest part of the storyline games is that's where you do get your famous characters. To an extent. I mean, you can still do open world, though, and get some famous characters. That's more of a difference between customizable characters versus set characters. So, like, I mean, you have Elix. Elix has a set character that had potential if it wasn't an A game by most ratings, had potential of having, but it was still an open world game.
I know, man. A little tighter gameplay, and I think that game could have been amazing, but that gameplay does hurt it. Well, me weighing in on it, sandbox games usually offer me control of the story and more choice, which I like. For example, I've never had the same experience playing through a Bethesda game like Skyrim. Like, I have characters who don't even know there's a Thieves Guild. Like, they never touched that part of the story, whereas other characters were deeply engrossed in other parts of it. That's what Sandbox offers.
I guess the thing is, though, is now it's just, honestly, dude, the Sandbox and storyline are starting to blur. Like, the genre is starting to have a blurred line, like, because you're getting more of these huge epic stories that have more sandbox elements
and player choice. Example, Mass Effect
or Witcher. Even Witcher has it's sort of that main epic storyline, but it still has a pretty open
Witcher, Dragon Age. Dragon Age was very sandboxy, yet had a very distinct storyline, but very different endings.
But it doesn't have that epic character that usually comes with the linear story, though, where Witcher does have that iconic character.
That was amazing in Dragon Age. I feel you, man. But, I mean, The Witcher has even an iconic main character, though I kind of would say the same thing for Shepard. I mean, Shepard,
Mass Effect, Shepard, even though you don't necessarily have to play Shepard. Or you have to play Shepard, but I mean you can customize Shepard.
Yeah, but he still was a very well-known persona and has his own distinct story. So it started to blur, but if I had to choose, I usually would prefer Sandbox, but with some story. Just don't bleed out to MMO levels of lack of story. And I mean, to me, when it comes to Sandbox style games done well with a nice fusion of story without it being strong like a linear storyline, well, with it being very open, I still also point to games like Elder Scrolls Online.
What do you mean by MMO lack of story?
Most MMO.
Just flip it right back.
Most MMORPGs tend to have fetch quests. They don't have that in-depth story feel. At least a lot of ones I've been trying recently. Which is why I was pointing out to the one that did do well, which is Elder Scrolls Online. Somehow Elder Scrolls Online managed to be an MMO that yet made me feel like it had some in-depth story and my character was in the mix of it.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't see that story as lacking necessarily in MMOs. Now, these newer free-to-play MMOs that don't have as much development put into them, yeah, sure, they don't have as huge of a story. But you look at World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has this huge, long line of lore and story.
But do you feel like your character's really getting involved in it? Or does it feel like your character's just kind of along for the ride?
I mean, that depends on your play style, honestly. If you go through the quest and you actually read the quest and go through, yeah, it feels like, and even the newer stuff now, the world actually changes when you do certain things. So,
well, then that's just another example. That plays like Elder Scrolls Online. But I've played a lot of MMOs lately, looking to try to get my fix for like mages and necromancers, and a lot of free to play had that problem of kind of just like it felt. There was no immersion. It felt like I was playing a game. They didn't get to draw me into the story at all. To the point that I found myself quickly not even reading any of the text. It's just.
But all I'm saying is I don't think that's necessarily a unique problem to MMOs. And you sort of called out MMOs for it.
Well, I know you're a big MMO fan, but sorry, I got to go by the numbers. And out of like maybe the last 15 MMOs I played.
You're playing crap free-to-play MMOs, so I don't. That's just like going and downloading some free game, from a RPG creator or something, and judging all RPGs by this free crap RPG you downloaded.
Actually, I played some really good free RPGs.
I've played some really good ones, but I've played some really bad ones too.
Like some of the RPG Maker games I played have actually been better than, as far as story-wise, than some of the big AAA. So I'm not going to say that free MMOs suck either, because you're also now judging and going, oh, free MMOs, they all suck.
Well, no, I'm not saying all of them suck. I'm just saying you haven't stuck with any of them, did you?
Yeah, I tried.
So the ones that you've played have sucked.
Well, some of those are big names like Guild Wars 2 and Rift, which are also very popular MMOs and still, to me, lacked on story feel.
Yeah.
And, if you think those are cheap, crappy free-to-plays, they actually tend to get rated up there with World of Warcraft and the like. They're considered competitors to a degree.
Well, Guild Wars is a little different, but I'll give you that. I mean, I will say maybe MMOs have a higher percentage than.
Well, I mean, they're designed for it. I mean, MMOs are usually designed for you to go play with your friends. They're usually not trying to tell an individual story, so it's not like there's not a reason.
Most of the time, it's not that they're not designed to have a good story. Most of the time, it basically boils down to because of the play style people use for MMOs, they miss most of the story.
I could be it too. Because honestly, I've been eyeballing Final Fantasy next. I've been considering trying the latest Final Fantasy iteration.
But I gotta agree with Blood Axe that some linear games have a crap story too, but they just tend to be called crap games.
Like the latest God of War is a very straightforward story. That's a good example of a storyline that has a little bit of sandboxing in it, but it's mainly a straight. They're telling one story. But man, from what I've seen so far, it looks like it's a great story. But your nooks. It depends on what they're aiming for.
Mm.
I mean, some guys care about stories. Some guys are trying to make money too. Some of them, it's their choices to go for the.
Well, that's been my biggest problem with the free MMO game. Is most of the free MMO game has been a cash grab.
Mm.
So,
So I mean, it depends what they're going for. But I've seen it done well. I've seen it not done well. I want to see more of it. I want to see more games that play like, I think I said Elder Scrolls Online. And what did you say? You mentioned the game that...
I mentioned World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, where they weave a good story so I can get some immersion. I can get in there and feel like my character is really a part of this world. Instead of, I'm just a gamer getting some text thrown at me and then go kill 50 rabbits and bring back 50 rabbit heads,
Yeah.
So... That is one of the other things that really makes a difference, and I want to see more of that because, like you said, they're fusing. I mean, honestly, when's the last time you saw a game dang near didn't have some kind of leveling system? I mean, RPG elements are now creeping in almost every game, even shooters.
No, I mean, even sports, dude. I mean, your sports games have levels now and stats and all that. So, and I mean, also in the same sense of... your RPGs are starting to get more multiplayer and stuff like that elements thrown into them.
Mm-hmm.
Your AAA games are starting to cross the lines of many genre staples outside of just their normal genre.
To reach a wider audience. It's a natural evolution. And honestly, for me, it's great because I kind of want a bit of everything. Yeah, when it comes to games, I'm a bit selfish. I want a great story, but I also want a sandbox. I also want choice. I also wanted to customize my character. I'll admit it. I want all. And the games are going that way. But, man, when they miss it, when they do it bad, it is bad. It is one of those things that it's either all or none so far. It's either, oh, that was great, or that was the worst thing I've ever spent time on.
Yeah. But, all right. Let's see. Well, and now it has okay. Let's get Google to roll for us. Okay, Google. Roll me a d20.
Rolling a die with 20 faces. The result is 8.
8.
Don't quit, Blood Axe. Just keep trying. Your typing is hilarious.
Superheroes with villain potential.
Oh, this is the flip script. Yeah. And we used to do villains that could be great superheroes. We are now going the other direction and talk about superheroes who would make much better villains.
Yeah.
And you're going to start it off.
I'm going to start it off?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you're not ready, and I just wanted to catch it.
Let's see. Superheroes that have villain potential.
In fact, some of them darn near they don't have any reason to be heroes. They have almost 100%.
Well, that's why you probably got to stay away from anti-heroes.
Well, no, that's lazy.
Anti, yeah. But if you go for heroes that are actually considered heroes.
That description. Heroes are actually considered heroes.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying not anti-heroes. Crap. Have we already rolled this one before?
No.
I was thinking we brought up Professor X already.
Not as part of this though. I think we brought him up when we talked about superpowers. just in general, like mind control.
Mm-hmm. But because that's
That's too easy anyway.
Yeah,
man.
I was gonna say that's the staple one that comes to me though. Like immediately would be that.
I mean, it's debatable if he's even a hero, man. I mean, he's been called a villain multiple times in his own series. How about this? Let's go with something everybody's gonna know when it came out recently. Huh? Oh, well, okay. I was gonna go with someone else, but Doctor Strange definitely has villain potential.
He does have.
Well, he's
villain
not really a
potential.
hero either, though. He kind of does one specific role and has made it pretty clear that's all he cares about.
Yeah.
How about this? Vision. Vision to me has huge villain potential. Man,
Hasn't Vision gone evil before?
I don't know.
I was thinking he had. But...
I'm going with the movie version.
Okay.
But given his fact that he possesses the powers to make him very difficult to stop. I mean, freaking can go incorporeal, go through objects, control molecular, has the mind gem in his head, and potentially, no spoilers, but could potentially even be influenced because remember in the last movie, I can go back to the previous movie, when they made him, they basically said, there's a mind inside of here. Like there's a brain in this gem. So the potential for him to go full on villain, yeah, man, that's a lot. And would be far more dangerous than Ultron because he has vastly more power and he has that friggin' mind gem. You're talking about a person that could definitely be a lot more dangerous. Because remember, normally you can use the mind gem. We haven't seen him using it yet. But if he started using it, then he suddenly becomes potentially, oh my God, he becomes Skynet, except it could possibly infect people. Imagine a computer virus that actually spreads to people. You're actually infecting people's minds with the basically equivalent of a replicating virus of yourself. I mean, that's a good one, actually. I never thought about him using a mind gem to transmit the equivalent of a computer virus to humanity. So, I mean, definitely could make one of the most dangerous villains in this series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you need some kind of weird mulligan that's poorly explained of why you'd be able to stop his ability to phase through things.
And I mean, his actions have shown that he does have a bit of a rebellious streak in him. So
and a slight bit of amorality.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a machine.
So he could definitely. It wouldn't be unreasonable that he crossed that line.
I mean, at the end of the Ultron movie, I got a distinct feeling that he kind of was like, I've decided to side with humanity, but I don't have a good reason. Like when Ultron goes, like they're doomed. He's like, yeah. He's kind of like, they're humans. Yeah, they're kind of crap, but I'm gonna ride this out. That one chick's hot. I gotta think he just gotta be like, Scarlet Witch is kind of hot. I'm gonna see where this goes. If this doesn't work out, then I'll destroy humanity. Don't worry, I got your back. So definitely would be the killer robot to a whole new level. I mean, worst of all is that some people go like, well, he could pick up the hammer. Yeah, that could totally just be like because he's not a person. I mean, the thing that Tony Stark said is not completely off of the elevator analogy of if you put the hammer in the elevator and the elevator can go up, does that mean the elevator is worthy?
Yeah, no.
By the way, wouldn't buy. They've done the Green Lantern a lot. They've done evil Green Lantern so often.
He did mention after that. Well, he did go bad. So
yeah. Green Lantern goes bad a lot.
Yeah.
In fact, honestly, that's why I don't like that one Green Lantern because he's gone evil one too many times. Like I think after 2 or 3 times of going evil, we ought to be like, let's take that ring and give it to somebody who goes evil a little bit less.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why they can't do anything about Superman. He's freaking Superman.
Well, that's sort of the problem with even looking over at DC because like most of the characters I know from DC either started off as evil to begin with, or have flip-flopped several times already. Like DC is notorious for the number of characters that they have that have played both sides.
And they're notorious for huge power level and efficiency switches, as in Superman as a good guy barely can stop the bad guys half the time and bad stuff still happen. Superman as an evil guy can defeat everything in the universe at the same time.
No, everything is stronger as evil.
I know, and it's kind of like, wow, way too much stronger. DC sucks rocks. All right. I'm hoping that's what he meant to type because when he's been typing, he might have said something way more vulgar and it just came out as rocks. But Yeah, so I mean that's why I didn't go DC. Also, I
Yeah.
wanted to go with something everybody would get. So in recent movies, look at Vision and just think about if he had decided to get up and just go, "I'm evil." Everybody would be like, "Oh, we're screwed." Throw the hammer at Thor. He just catches it and goes, "I'm gonna keep that." Because he can pick it up, just picks up the hammer, flies off with it. It's just like, oh crap! That nobody saw that coming.
I mean, the other easy one would be to go with the Hulk being how.
Hulk's
has-
hero / villain status is another one that's in debate, though.
True, but I mean, he could definitely go far, being he's pretty much unkillable. So I mean, it's basically like his human side could just do whatever he wanted, and if they decided to mess with him, Hulk comes out, does some rampage.
I mean, evil Tony Stark would be pretty bad.
But yeah, now we saw Infinity War.
I've
Blood
been
Axe is
disallowed to
asking.
talk about it.
We're not going to talk about it on this show. We will talk about it after this show. If I don't kill my sound equipment before then.
Yeah, I think our sound equipment's at its limit because it's getting worse as we go along.
Yeah, but anyway, so we'll do. We're going to do our We're going to do our Infinity War review right after this, and we're going to post it to YouTube. So if you're interested, you can check it out there. But it will be full of spoilers and very, very spoileristic. But that's going to end Random Encounters and the live show and all that stuff. So we hope you enjoyed listening. And as every week, you can check us out on Dicejunkies.com to see where we're at. You join us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Most of all, go to YouTube, subscribe if you're not subscribed.
And get other people to subscribe.
Yes,
Seriously,
share.
We haven't hit 1,000 yet.
Share with your friends.
We got a target here, people.
All right, guys. Take care. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.